back to another video. So another week and another topic. So this time what we're looking at is bearings again. Okay, no shock there. But we're going to look this time at calculating them, because last week what we looked at was how do we actually measure them and what are bearings. Okay, and hopefully you watched that one and you remember what that is all about. Okay, so I'm not going to go through what bearings are. I'm just going to focus on how do we calculate them when we've been given certain information in a question. Okay, so for this video you're not going to need protractors at all. So when you need to calculate bearings, you just need to know your top most famous angle facts, okay, which I'm just going to write down now to jog your memory. Okay, so this video's purpose is not to go through all the angle facts and bore you. It's just to kind of refresh your mind about the angle facts, so that when we are looking at the examples, you know exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so let's quickly go down memory lane and look at the angle facts, okay, that we're going to need in this topic. So the first angle fact, which is quite important, is that angles around a point add up to 360. Okay, add up to 360. So by that we just mean, for example, if you've got this angle here and an angle here, they're both going to add up to 360 degrees altogether. Okay, second quite popular one that tends to come up in these questions is co-interior angles. Okay, that they add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so co-interior angles are kind of like this. Okay, so this is a typical example when you've got this sort of diagram going, and then these two angles here, okay, this one and this one. So you've got this angle here and this angle here, and they're going to add up to give you 180 degrees. Okay, and this always is the case when you've got like a C shape. Okay, and you've got two angles that are right inside your diagram. Okay, and then lastly what we've got is angles on a straight line add up to give you 180 degrees, and this is quite a popular one. Okay, so that's just mean you've got two angles, okay, located on a straight line, then they both are going to add up, okay, together to give you 180 degrees. Now these are quite the important ones, okay, that tend to come up. So maybe take a screenshot of this, okay, or make notes of it, and then let's go. Okay, so first up we've got quite a simple one. Okay, it's just to jog your memories about the main facts that we use in order to answer bearing questions. Okay, so let's take a look at this. It says find the bearing of B from A. Okay, remember what I mentioned in the previous video, the wording is quite important. So they've said of B, okay, from A. So that means, oops, excuse my bad highlighting, but here we go. So it just means that we need to be working out the bearing of B. So starting from A, that means I'm going to look at this north line. Okay, so remember the three key facts were measure always from north, okay, measure clockwise from north, your bearing, and also your bearing should be in three figures. If you manage to remember all those 3 points, that's excellent. Okay, and so let's take a look at how we can apply that to this question. So it's saying of B from A. Well, there's my north line from A, and I can already see an angle measured here, so I don't need to do anything. I've just got to write it down. But remember that because it's a bearing, it's got to be written in three figures as follows. So 0.45 degrees is going to be the right answer. Okay, and then the next question, the next question that I want us to look at is this one. So find the bearing of B again from A. Okay, so these questions, all of them are I'm gonna look at is just going to be looking at calculating the bearing of B from A. So again, that means that I need my north line from A. Okay, and again I can see that there's an angle here. Okay, so I could go ahead and just write 285 degrees and that's the bearing, and I'm done and bye. But no, because remember, one of my key points was that it's got to be clockwise from north. Okay, this is anti-clockwise, and that's a major mistake major misconception that a lot of students do, okay, with bearings, and that's where it gets confusing because they don't remember that fact. So because we are good students and we remember the fact, we're going to calculate this inner angle here, okay? So here you can see the key fact that we looked at the start, okay, comes into play. So this one here, 0.1, which was angles around a point add up to 360 degrees, okay? So that means I need to do 360 minus my 285 degrees, okay, which gives me, so 360 minus 285 gives me 75 degrees. But because we're good mathematicians and we understand bearings, we know we can't just write down 75 degrees. We've got to, okay, write it as 3 figures, so that's got to be 0.75 degrees, and that's my answer. Okay, let me know in the comments if you did remember this key fact, okay, and let's move on to the next example. Okay, so next example, we're again finding the bearing of B from A. That means, just going to underline that so I remember, I need to draw my north line from A, okay? So there's my north line, and I need to measure the angle clockwise, okay? So that means I'm looking at this angle here, or this bearing, okay? Now, like I mentioned, it doesn't say that it's drawn to scale, so we're not going to get out a protractor and start measuring this. We're going to use angle facts. So I can see that I've been given an angle here, which is 230 degrees. Well, I could work out this angle here, inside one, okay, using angles around a point fact. And then, since I know this one, I can work out this one as well using my co-interior angles rule, okay? So let's make a start and do that. So first, to work out this one, we're going to do 360 minus 230 degrees. Okay, that gives me 130 degrees. Okay, so this one here is 130 degrees. Next, I need to work out my actual answer. So that one, this one here, okay, is going to be using my co-interior rule. I need to do 180 minus 130, okay, because remember these two angles have got to add up to give us 180 degrees. So we've got 180 minus 130 degrees, and that finally gives me 50 degrees. Okay, so that means that this angle here is 50 degrees, but remember we're looking at bearings, so my final answer has got to be 0.50 degrees. Okay, that's very, very important, otherwise you're going to lose a mark. Now this next one again is quite similar, so I would like you to pause the video here, have a go at it yourself, and then let me know in the comments how you got on, okay? And then I will go through it as well. So let's go through it together then, hopefully that you had a go. So we need to work out the bearing of A from B this time, okay? A from B, and I'm measuring clockwise, remember, so it's actually this outside angle that I'm interested in, okay? So I need to, first of all, what I can do is work out this one, because I already know what this is, okay? So I'm going to use angles around a point fact. So 360 minus 285, okay, degrees gives me 75 degrees. So therefore this is, sorry, not 65, 75 degrees, oopsies. That is 75 degrees, and then lastly I know that I can work out my angle here using the co-interior angles rule, okay? And then finally I can do again angles around a point fact and subtract from 360 to work out what this outside angle is, okay? So let's work out this green one here first using my co-interior rule, which suggests that they've got to add up to 180. So I'm going to do 180 minus 75 degrees, which gives me 180 minus 75 gives me 105 degrees, okay? And now that I know that this is 105 degrees, okay, I can finally work out my missing angle, which is going to be 360 minus 105 degrees, which finally gives me 255 degrees. Okay, so that is this one over here. And because it's already in 3 figures, I don't really have to do anything to it. Okay, so that's my answer. Okay, so I'm back with another example. Now we're just taking things up slightly a notch, okay, making it slightly a bit more harder. Okay, but still the same idea, using your angle facts to work out the missing angles. Okay, so let's read the question. The bearing of S from L is 285 degrees. Okay, so, and then the question is find the bearing of L from S. So let's again use my trusty highlighter to highlight my key information. So the bearing of S from L is 285 degrees, and I need to work out the bearing of L from S. Okay. Now I can see on my diagram I've not actually got anything, any angles drawn. Okay. So, but I've been given this information here, so I can go ahead and, you know, include it on my diagram. So I'm going to do that. So the bearing of S from L is 285 degrees. So that means it's this one here, this outside angle. That's got to be 285 degrees, okay? And this is my north line. Now, some people might get confused here because they've not written north here, but they've written north on top of this line, and this is directly parallel to it. So we can go ahead and just write down the N symbol, okay? And it's going to be this one here that is 285 degrees. Now my main idea, or the main question, is to work out the bearing of L from S. So that means I need to go clockwise from S over here, okay? So in order to work this out, I need to know some more information. If I, for example, know what this angle here is, okay, that can help me to then work out this one. So let's work out this one first. And drop it in the comments, you know, if you think that you know what we need to be doing at this point. So what we need to actually be doing is 360 minus 285 degrees, because it's angles around a point, okay? And we can use that fact, and they sum to 360. So let's go ahead and do 360 minus 285. Apologies for writing over the line. So 360 minus 285 gives me 75 degrees. Okay, so that means that this angle here is 75 degrees. And now, therefore, I can work out what S is going to be, because these angles are co-interior. That means they sum to 180 degrees. So I'm going to do 180 minus 75 degrees. Okay, and that should give us my answer, which is 105 degrees. Okay, so therefore this angle is 105 degrees, or sorry, this bearing is 105 degrees. Okay, now let's take a look at a similar one. And now again, I want you to pause the video here, see if you can have a go at this yourselves, okay, and then you can always play back and check with me. Okay, so welcome back. Hopefully you've had a go. Now what I've done is highlighted these two key points, okay, and I've also plotted that information on my diagram. So the bearing of S from C is 76 degrees, okay, so that's this bearing over here, okay. And again, like I said, because they've not written down north, does not mean that you can go ahead and write down the N symbol from there, okay, because we know that this line is north as well. So they are parallel to each other. Now the next point is that find the bearing of C from S. So therefore I've gone ahead and drawn this angle here, because that is clockwise from north and from S. Okay, so that means that this is the one that I'm trying to work out. Now before I go ahead and work it out, I need to know some more information, like what is this inside angle over here, okay, because then I can use that to work out my actual bearing. So I know this is 76, and these two angles are co-interior, so I'm going to do 180 minus 76 degrees, which gives me 104 degrees, okay, therefore this is 104 degrees. And then finally I can do 360 minus the 104 to work out this big blue angle, okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and shade that so we can see it clearly. So 360 minus 104, okay, gives me 256 degrees. So this is what the blue angle is, okay, and that's the end of this one. Okay, now these last two questions that we're going to look at are going to take it up slightly, a little bit more up a notch, okay, and we're going to make it a bit more harder. So you can see that my diagram looks different as well now. So let's go ahead and read it and see what we can make of it. So the bearing of S from L is 289 degrees. So let's go ahead and highlight that key information and then find the bearing of L from S. Okay, these are my two key informations. So the bearing of S from L is 289 degrees. Now you can see straight away there's no north line, so straight away you might be thinking, oh my goodness, what do I need to do? Okay, but what we can do is we can draw our north lines ourselves, okay, because remember bearings are always measured from the north line and clockwise. So that's why I've got my ruler, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and draw the north line, So the bearing of S from L is 289 degrees, therefore I'm going to draw the north line here, okay, as follows, and I'm going to measure this angle clockwise and label it 289 degrees since this is the bearing that they've told us. Okay, next I need to work out the bearing of L from S. So again, I'm going to take my trusty ruler and draw the north line from S because that's where I'm calculating my bearing from, and also label these north lines. Okay, so what the angle that I'm trying to work out, or the bearing, is this one here, okay, because I'm going from S to L. Now again, I need to think about what information do I need in order to work this angle out here. So I need to work out what this little one here is going to be, so I can use my co-interior rule and work out my red angle. So I'm going to do 360 minus 289 degrees, which gives me 360 minus 289 degrees. So it gives me 71 degrees, and that's this angle over here, okay? And then lastly, I'm going to do co-interior rule, okay, to work out my actual missing bearing. So that means I'm going to do 180 now minus 71 degrees, okay, which gives me finally 109 degrees, okay? And that is my bearing of L from S, okay? Now I want you to have a go at this one, okay? So pause the video here, have a go at this question. It's quite similar to the one that we've just done, okay? We've been given minimum information again on the diagram, and we've got to put some information on there ourselves. So pause the video here and have a go at it, and then we'll go through it together. Okay, so again, I've gone ahead, highlighted the key points, okay, and I've plotted that information on my diagram. Hopefully you were able to get to that point, okay, and if not, then that's completely fine, don't worry, because that's what I'm here for, okay? So let's go through it together. So since it says the bearing of C from S is 241 degrees, I've drawn the north line and measured clockwise, well, not measured, but I've just labeled, okay, clockwise that angle over here. Then I've gone ahead and drawn my north line from C, because that's the actual question, to work out the bearing of S from C. Okay, so from C I've drawn the north line, and this is the angle that we're interested in. So now in order to work that out, I need to first of all work out what this little inside angle is going to be here. So to do that, I'm going to be doing 360 because angle's around a point. Okay, 360 minus 241 degrees, and that gives me 119 degrees, and that's this one here, okay, because the angle's around a point. So I'm going to do 360 minus this one. Then next, I can use my co-interior rule to state that these two angles add up to 180. So therefore, what I can do is 180 minus 119 degrees, which finally gives me 61 degrees, okay? Therefore, the missing angle, or my bearing, is actually going to be 61 degrees, okay? Be very, very careful because it's got to be three figures, so we can't just leave the answer as 61 degrees, okay? So that brings us to the end of our video, and I hope that you found it quite helpful, because it just takes the bearings one step ahead, because it forces you to remember your angle facts, and it's also showing you that all topics of maths are integrated, okay? So if you didn't know your angle facts, you would not have been able to do this even if you were good at bearings, okay, measuring bearings. Now this can go slightly more harder because you can bring trigonometry into it as well, which I will make a video on later, but first we need to touch upon what is trigonometry as well. Okay, but anyway, enough of that. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, okay, share it with your friends and family, and also leave me in the comments box what you found helpful or any suggestions, okay, for future videos, or any topics that you want. Okay, and I'll see you in the next one, so take care.